Hey everyone, welcome to From Stuck to Scaling, your $1 million journey. I, of course, am Sharon Fuller, and today we are tackling one of the biggest stress points for business owners, cash flow. So let's be honest, money stress is real. You can be making sales, signing clients, and still feel like you're living paycheck to paycheck in your own business. So if you've ever wondered where the hell is your money going or why the bank account doesn't match your revenue, this episode is for you. And my guest today is Martha Yasso. She's a cash flow expert and the founder of YASSO Bookkeeping Solutions. Martha, I should have asked beforehand, but it is Yasso, right?
It is, yeah.
Okay, good. I'm like, for
Like
some
the
reason,
ice cream, but not related to the ice cream.
I felt all of it. Oh, those are my favorite. All of a sudden, I felt like I've heard her name 1,000 times, and I feel like I'm saying it wrong. But to keep going, she's worked with business owners across professional services, trades, medical, and hospitality. She helps them get their financial crap together so they can sleep at night instead of stressing over balances. So, we're going to talk about why cash flow feels like a constant struggle, how to stop the paycheck to paycheck cycle, and what you need to do now to make sure you're not always worried about money. And as always, if you've got questions, send them my way. Even if we don't cover them today, I'll make sure to get your answers. So let's get into it. Cash flow. I've been in business, Martha, since 2006, and I am telling you what, cash flow is always, always, always. Even right now, I'm like, God, whatever decision I make is going to change everything through the end of the year. And do I need to get a line of credit or am I set? And I don't know how people start a business without, I've never started a business with the money. I just have been
The
like,
plan, yeah, or money, right? Right. And they say you have to have money to make money, right? So,
I got it. Have you?
um, well, I'm one of those kids that I really, really saved when I was young.
Oh,
So I had a little
see,
bit, but
terrible parent. We ate Twinkies and Taco Bell and did not save a dime.
you went to Taco Hell. I love it.
That's my dad and stepmom. I don't want to put that on my mom. She would have never let that happen. But
Right?
yeah. No, not here.
So yeah, I mean, the thing about cash flow is as a accountant and I start talking to my clients, I don't use the term cash flow because you use that term and all of a sudden you get the glazed over face,
They're in the
the
headline.
WTF. I'm just going to shake my head. Yes. Oh, yes, I know what you're talking about. They have no clue.
Yep.
They know how much do you have in the bank? Okay, let's plan this out a little bit. How much do you need on Monday?
Yeah.
And then they start getting their head around it. But it really does take breaking that concept down into the little steps and day by day. Um,
Yeah.
it's scary, it's overwhelming because if you don't have the cash, you can't pay your people. You can't pay yourself. You can't get any kind of resource or supply for your business. It's scary. So number one, you have to take the time to look at what you have and plan it out. But looking at what you have is key. That's step one.
Absolutely. And so, leading into my first question to ask you is a lot of business owners think, I just need to make more money. But why isn't more revenue always the solution to cash flow issues?
Well, many times the revenue doesn't come until after you've already made an investment. Contractors, perfect example. You have to put
Oh,
the money out first to get all your supplies, your lumber, your nails, all of it, before you even really get a flow of cash coming in. Many times people will ask for a deposit, and that's great. But that deposit is going to have to cover your workers first because that's required.
like
So
30,
you got,
60.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I feel like a lot of times it's I see so many clients and they're like, I'm making 1 million a year. I'm like, you're spending 1,500,000. Let's look at that, honey. Like
But my
that's what
bank
they
has it. Why doesn't my bank show it?
because you're spending it and then they don't know where it's going. And I'm like, how about we have a little simple spreadsheet and look through things? What is all this software? What people that don't especially when they hire accounting firms like us, they stop thinking they need to pay attention to things. And if you don't hire, like if you're just hiring a bookkeeper that's being reactive instead of like a accounting or advisory firm that's being
Yeah.
proactive, they're not telling you something's wrong. They're just punching in the numbers and you're trusting them. And so you're not paying attention to all these things. Like we just found a client that they had a Zoom info contract. No, sorry, don't come at me, Zoom info. But it was supposed to end, and they took out like another 40 grand and didn't even notice. Like, how do you not notice 40 grand coming out? I
Wow.
noticed if there's
Yeah.
$10. I'm like, that's my money.
Well, what I do is, like I said before, I like to break things down a little bit, but I'm not a huge fan of showing my clients spreadsheets because, again, that's like, holy God, where are you taking me? Um,
Oh,
I'll just show them a P&L, but I break it
uh-huh.
down by month. And when I do break it down by month, all of a sudden they start to understand because they can get their head around what's going out the door every month. And then
Yep.
they see that 40,000 and they'll be like, oh, oh yeah, that came out this month and I didn't get that much revenue in. Oh, I was negative. Okay. But when you break it down, it's almost like creating a simple spreadsheet of cash flow when you break down the P&L by month. And it's right there. All you got to do is memorize it, right? And you put it in the saved reports and you show them and your client how to get there and you just tell them click on it. And I usually get the phone call after they click on it and they start thinking, but I got them thinking, and that's 90% of the battle.
I love when the first thing they want to cut is their accounting. They're like, I spend too much money on you. I'm like, honey,
Yes.
I make you money. And
Yeah.
then I
Yeah.
crack up. So it's so funny about that because I run my
Hmm.
personal stuff like a business. I have my own QuickBooks, I have a forecast, I have a budget. I can tell you where I'm going to be every week just because I'm a weirdo, right? And I remember
No,
my
we have
husband,
27 years of Quicken. I still have Quicken.
oh, okay. So you out taught my weirdness. He was buying Starbucks all the time, so I actually created a line item of Starbucks just so I can
Hmm.
be like, and after 1 month, I think it was like $450, I'm all sick and Starbucks stopped. But I was able to actually show them, here's what we brought in, here's all expenses. You're buying more
Hmm.
Starbucks than our utility bill. We have a problem.
We have
But having
we have
that
a
visibility,
Starbucks problem, you know.
I mean, it could be worse. Like I'm not, I just wanted to say, make that a treat. Or then we ended up getting just a good coffee machine at home. I'm like, Starbucks is trash. But so aside from that and everything, what do you think that the most common cash flow mistake you see business owners making?
Well, like I said, I'm not taking the time to look at it, but outside of that, it's kind of looking at that big project and thinking, oh, that's great. Let's take the project no matter what, and not mapping out the cash flow for it. Many times, if you don't look at the upfront costs first, do you have that? Do you need a line of credit? So that's a huge mistake is taking on a project without taking that extra moment to walk through the cash needs for that, both the what's expected to come in and just add 2 weeks to the actual date of that money coming in when you think it's going to come in, and then what's going out, and always add more to what's going out than you expect.
It sounds like you work with a lot of contractors. Is that accurate?
Yes, and well, yeah, contractors is what people can get their head around. My niche is actually healthcare, but
Oh,
the private
what type
practice
of
healthcare. So it's actually a lot of fun. I get to yeah, again, my clients think I'm crazy because I think it's fun. It's a puzzle to me. So when I see the various different parts of revenue flowing in, healthcare has really complex
that?
revenue flow. You have three or four different places it's coming from: credit cards, checks, health
Insurance.
insurance companies, all the places. And I've got to make it coordinated enough that we can understand what's coming in and when. And when I first asked a doctor, how much do you have in receivables? How much are you actually billing out and haven't received yet? They've no clue. No clue. Uh,
Yeah,
it, it's,
crazy.
yeah,
That's the first thing I do when we get clients. I'm like, who owes you money? They're like,
yeah,
well, no one. They
yeah,
say no one. You're amazing because I always tell people, get paid first. What are you doing? Don't work for free. Get paid first. And I know
right,
that's not always, but in most industries, I don't understand why people trust to do the work, especially when it's like intellectual work you can't take back. It's not like I made you something and now I'm taking it from you. It's like the work we
right.
do, what undo their QuickBooks? No, that's still my time. I'm not undoing it. So I agree. I always am so baffled when I see someone's AR and I'm like, why are you doing this? Like you are working
Hmm.
for and now you're working to chase down the money you were already owed. And that's why you don't have money in your bank account. It's all in the balance sheet.
That's a huge reason why they don't have money. And actually, often I'll be told, oh, well, the money just comes from the bank. And I kind of take that beat and I try and get my head around it and just kind of go, hmm, you need to know where your money is living and why it isn't with you. I also make my clients pay their own bills. I'll set them up with software to pay the bills, but I make them pay their bills so that they understand where that money's going. Are they paying
Interesting.
insurance? Are they paying just meals? Are they having a great time going out having meals and then not realizing, oh, that's now 20% of my monthly costs?
Yep.
Um,
I
if
kind
they,
of like that. Yeah, especially because we don't know. So something comes to us and
yeah,
clients don't always tell us things. So if you make them pay it, before they click pay, they're like, hold on, which is why we've
mhm,
always used we always use something like bill.com. So we'll
yeah,
code it. I'm
yep.
like, I'm not touching anything until you approve it because
Exactly. They have to have final ownership to
yeah,
understand, oh, this is going out the door and it's going to where.
yeah.
I find the clients are much more grounded if I make
Hmm.
them do that. It's a huge first step to get them to understand how their business kind of breathes, the exhale and the inhale. And that's
Yeah.
key. That's really key.
I also find that a lot of clients get really set on the autopilot mode where, oh, I just have it just auto charges the credit card and out of sight, out of mind, right? So
Hmm.
we have cash clients that kind of do that, but they're small. But then we have our fractional clients that'll do that. I'm like, anything over $500, we need an invoice. I want an invoice
Yep.
because I want to read what does it look, I say we or I it is the proverbial I because I don't do it. My team does, but when I get in and look, I'm like, that's $5,000. No,
Yep.
give me the papers that go with it. Give me an invoice, give me something because I need to know what that's for.
And that's where you get into the receipt management. As soon as they do anything with that credit card, you have that credit card receipt pointing right to your GL, right to QuickBooks or Sage or NetSuite, whichever you're using. It's got to be the less you have to think, the better. That clears your
Yeah.
head to be able to have space to think and, more importantly, plan. And I know
Well,
nobody really likes planning, but you kind of got to pack the bag before you go somewhere.
gotta make that list. I don't think people realize how much like we're talking about expenses and receipts and the invoices and the billing. These are all part of your cash flow. If you are so short every month and you can't get money from elsewhere and you're trying to make it on your revenue, if you're making 100,000 and you're spending 101, there is a problem. Something is wrong. And the first place
Yeah.
I go to is not my revenue. I go to my expenses. What is
Yep.
happening? I should have What's my industry standard? 30%, 40% net profit margin? What am I doing wrong? Right? Like your first place you should look in cash flow is where are you overspending and free up
That's the
some of that.
easiest and the fastest.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. When you start making that decision not to spend. And I think it's really easy if you go through just your expenses and even just pick some of the simple stuff. That app that you haven't been using in a year that's $100 a month or $50 a month, cancel it. How long does
Yeah.
that take? That takes literally 5 minutes. And by the end of the year, you've saved $500. Perfect. Without even really having to think.
Yeah.
And then there we could get into the whole pricing discussion on the revenue side. But very honestly, that is one huge and scary discussion.
I'm doing it
So
right now. I just had
yeah.
that talk with Michelle Weinstein a little bit ago, and I do it
Mhm.
every couple of years, but we moved to Anchor a couple years ago, and they
Yep.
have when I first moved over to them, they didn't have the auto renew. Now they have the auto renew with an
Yep.
increase. So we're amending everybody's, I'm rescoping. We found, I'm like, why our profit margins should be so much higher. So I went in and I'm personally doing it. We
Yep.
had a client that was supposed to get an $800 discount 1 month. He got it for 2 years. That is $20,000. That was just one. Another client, we do their payroll, and originally it was one person once a month. It's 17 people twice a month now, and the price never changed. I'm like, so
Yeah.
that's bad. I was focusing on other things. This is my accounting firm, not Glass Wall, but we fixed it. But I'm like, no wonder, guys. I found $80,000 a year in just tiny little mistakes across just 70 clients right
Yep.
now. And that is that is insane. Like
I
that's
tell
just
my
insane.
clients to take that minute to look through all that stuff quarterly, every 3 months, at the most every 4 months. And I get it.
Yeah.
You don't want to look at it in the summertime, but if your summertime is slow, whenever your slow time of year is, take that little bit of time and look into the details. Look at your pricing. Look to see what you billed last year and adjust it. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I,
And,
I agree.
one of the other things I wanted to bring up is there are some great cash flow softwares out there. There's,
Name some. Let's throw some bones and see if you get some free stuff in the mail.
right? I love Dry Run. There's another one called Clockwork.
I
Um,
love clockwork. Shout out to
Clockwork
Faye.
is great. I really love them. And there are a whole bunch of Fathom, which is an oldie but goodie. Cash flow tool is out there. It still hasn't been done up too much recently, but it's got the basics. Go out and play with these things. They often have a free trial out there. Go out and
Well, it's
play.
great. And a great UI. Like that's what I love about Clockwork. It's got a very easy user interface. You can just have it go as is or super customize it. That's why I do love it.
Yep.
He sends me backpacks every now and then, but I'm not saying it because of that. It is a really good product. He did a good job on
Well,
that.
Fatty, they now have a beginner level that's free.
Yep.
Free.
Yep.
It
There's no
doesn't have
reason.
all the bells and whistles, but darn, you have no excuse now. Go try
No.
it.
I agree. And that kind of leads me into the next topic, which is mental health. So when you have so you quit, you start a business, you put everything into it, you're busting your butt, you're making 100 grand, you're spending 101, you're pulling from your savings, and you have it's that mental health problem, right? Like you're stressed, you feel like a loser, you feel like you just are failing at everything. And so instead of fixing it, you avoid it, right? You're just like out of sight, out of mind. So for
So
our business owners that are overwhelmed, what do you suggest? Like where do they even start?
I suggest Brene Brown. Brene Brown is this great social scientist out of University of Texas. And she looks at things like vulnerability. And if there's nothing more vulnerable in the world, it's starting your own business and putting your own money, your family's like future at risk every
Yeah.
day. And cash flow is, like we said, the key to all that. But as I said in the beginning, you start talking about cash flow, all of a sudden you get that blank face. But as you start to do something, the first time you do it, never is going to come out right. You are going to, can I drop the F-bomb?
I mean, I don't know. I haven't done it yet.
You're gonna frick it up, right? We'll
Yeah.
use frick instead, but you're gonna frick it up. And Brene Brown has this great concept called effing first times, FFTs. So if you go and you Google that, because like people during the pandemic, they all decided they were going to be chefs. So they made that very
Hey,
fancy meal.
I
And guess
started
what?
sourdough. Don't you knock me. I just fed
Did you
mine
screw it
last
up the
night.
first time?
Oh my, I've somehow killed sourdough 3 times. I actually had to have my father-in-law send me his starter so I can feed, I couldn't get it going, but I just
And
fed
then what
mine.
happened the second time?
I learned. I trial and error. I figure it out.
Yeah.
I didn't give up until now my
Yeah.
sourdough is so nuts. I'm like, I need to make bread or I have to throw it away.
And
So,
you learn from what you didn't do right the first time. You learned maybe to ask somebody else for help. What's your little secret in doing this? And the whole process gets easier and better with each incremental try.
I agree.
So,
I
but you
it's
got to do it. Don't be afraid to take that step to screw up. And I think that's the hardest part is the vulnerability of saying, I'm going to take this step. Yep, I'm going to screw it up.
gonna
And
fall on my face, but I'm gonna
exactly.
get back up. Right? I say that too. It's not how many times you fail, it's how many times you keep
It's
trying.
how
And
you
what you
get up. Yep.
failed. Sometimes you need to fail 5 or 6 times to realize, hey, especially if you don't have anybody guiding you or you don't know how to do it, just who cares? Fail quick. So
Keep
you can
doing
go
it.
on to the
Yep.
next one. Eventually, you're not going to fail, and then you're going to be an expert. Experts are only experts because they failed so many times that they know not how to fail anymore, right? I mean,
Well, it's not even that they don't know how to fail. It's that they know how to get up better because they're going to fail again. And that's how they learn. They now know 99 ways that don't work and one way that does.
yep.
Um,
And what works for one doesn't always work for everyone else. I say that,
nope.
but then again, I'm like that. This is the
And that's
system.
my client's secret sauce. I call that my client's secret sauce. That's what gives them a competitive advantage because
Yeah.
they do something differently. That's
Yeah.
their secret sauce. And you
I,
celebrate that, because
I
that's why they have clients. And
Yes. And everybody, I mean, how many accountants do we know? We were just at Appy Camp, right? And how many of us were there? So
I
many.
think it was 80, something like that. Yeah.
And all
Yeah.
of us do something, we're all in some sort of accounting or advisory. So we're all kind of
Yeah.
doing along the same line, but like we all do it differently, right?
The
And one
balance
thing,
sheet equation is the same,
yep,
exactly the same. It's
how we
math,
get there.
but
Yeah.
we bring us to it.
Absolutely. Darren Root once said, and I don't listen to,
Love Darren.
yeah, he's great. I don't listen a lot, or I didn't used to. I was younger. And I used to be on the ADP advisory board, and he was on it with us at the same time. And he spoke and he said, all of us accountants in the room right now, not almost never will any of us be fighting over the same client at the same time. I'm like, oh my God, you're right.
Yeah.
Nobody here is my competitor. We are all
Nope.
colleagues because we all do it so different. I
Yep.
veered off the trail, but I always like sharing that tidbit of advice because it stuck with me and I love it.
Well,
I love it.
once we drop that wall of fear, there's
Yep.
no reason of fear. It is scary because of what we might, I don't even want to say might lose, because I think it's more the struggle to be perfect. And
Yeah.
I think, I tell my kids this, my 22-year-old and my 14-year-old, whatever you have as a final product in your brain, kind of, it's great as a guide, but accept now that your final product is not going to look like that. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to get done. And
Yeah. Yeah.
understand that final product is could be morphed into something totally different, but so much better. That solves your problem more efficiently, more accurately, more appropriately. And that's what you're striving for.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So we've discussed a lot of like the why and the how and the
Yeah.
roadblocks, and we've talked about the number one place we would go to is expenses. But I mean, there's a lot of people don't realize if you're having cash flow issues, if you've been in business for over a year, there's an SBA Express loan of 150 grand that is easy to get, and it's like I think 15 years at whatever prime is. So it takes about 6 to 8 weeks to get, but that's honestly, they are really easy about giving that out. So I always try to tell people there's an express. You can go to your credit union.
Who knew? What are the qualifications for that? Is
Um,
there a,
so I just got one on one of my companies. That's how I know. And it was like, you just had to have it, it wasn't even bad. Like your credit had to be over 625. I'm like,
okay.
that's, and then you have a certain business score. They
Mhm.
score your business, and
Yeah.
that was like 80 or something. I don't know how the business scoring works. You had to be in business for at least, I think, a year or 2 years, and then I think the revenue didn't even have to be that high. It's like, oh my goodness, you only had to made like 100 grand a year to get $150,000 loan. It's
Wow. Wow.
act. And it was like a 15 year, and I think the interest, mine's already gone down twice. So the payment's super low, and I was like, oh, well, that was easy. Like, why didn't I just do that?
Wow.
And then once you have that for 2 years, you can go back and refi into a larger SBA loan. So
Wow.
it really wasn't like the smaller banks do it faster. A lot of people don't realize that that's an option. And because you think SBA and you have to put I didn't
Yeah.
have to do any of that. Like it was
Well,
so,
one of the other things I tell my clients is if you do need that line of credit or you're just starting out, go to a community bank
oh yeah,
because they really
community,
want to help the economy in
don't go
their
to the big
area. That's
ones.
why they're there.
I
Um,
mean, I love Chase. I've been with Chase for 15 years. I
mhm.
would get a loan with them. I'm like, are you kidding me? I have every account here, I have everything. But they're so corporate and in their machines. But then I go across the street to America First Credit Union. They're like, oh, here you
Yep.
go. I'm like, really?
Yep.
So, I mean, I'm not to get into detail stuff, but I have good credit and I pay all my stuff and
Mhm.
and so there's no reason for Chase. But anyhow, so that was a really good thing. And even if you got the EIDL loan, and a
Yep.
lot of people still have their EIDL, it
Yep.
doesn't affect a SBA Express loan. So anyhow, that's a
Oh,
little
that's
tidbit.
nice too. I think that's a huge thing that we do as, or at least I do as an accountant for my clients is I have a banking background. I actually worked for North Fork Bank and did merger reports.
Oh wow.
So, and ultimately it was Capital One that bought North Fork. So, if you understand the money market and
Yeah.
understanding how a bank works and why it works and how money moves, it's like unlocking the key and really understanding the whole process. And then you just apply the process to different businesses.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, before
Yep.
we pop up, I want to ask you one final thing. What is the biggest mindset shift that business owners need to make about their cash flow?
The biggest mindset shift is taking the time to look at it and
Know
not
your number.
just saying, hey, I got it in my head. Now, take the time to do it the old-fashioned way, print it out, look at it on your monitor, but spend a little time with it. not just in your head. Make sure that you can communicate it to somebody else clearly.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with that. Know your numbers, dang it. I don't
Yep.
care. And accountants are the worst, right? Because a housekeeper's house is always messiest. So we put it off because we're like, we're in numbers all day. But man, we have to set the example.
Again, people say that, and the first thing I do when I open up my QuickBooks in the morning, I look at my own account.
Me too. Oh my goodness. I
That's
have
the
a cash.
first thing I do.
Same.
And I people ask, "Oh, well, you must have transactions in there." Nope,
No.
nope.
No.
Mhm.
I
I know
no.
what's come in. I know what's gone out. It takes
Yeah,
me 2 minutes, and then I go on with my day.
I'm on it and I don't have to stress. I have a cash forecast. It's a weekly one, and every week I'm like,
Yep,
what is it? I know what's coming out. I know if
yep.
something's wrong. I am on that because I don't care if I have $1 million in bank or $10 in bank. The $5 that came out of my bank account that wasn't supposed to is my $5 and I want it back.
Hmm.
I'm not ready. They don't get
Yep.
it.
Yep.
Mine.
And on that app that I looked at and said, "Oh, gee, I really don't need that anymore." I'm either making the cancel subscription, or I'm going to say to my subcontractor who helps me out, cancel that subscription.
Yeah,
But somebody's doing it, and they're doing it today. So,
love it. Well,
yeah,
you've given a lot of valuable information, and it sounds like you're really into that healthcare. So if anybody is in healthcare or needs to refer healthcare clients, it sounds like Martha is your gal here. And Martha, if they needed to reach out to you, how do they do that?
they can reach me currently at Martha at Yasso Books, but the big announcement is we're rebranding, and the new
Oh,
name is Fiscal Therapies.
oh my God, I love it. Oh, that's so perfect for healthcare.
Yep, yep, Fiscal Therapies. So that email address is
Is this the
Martha
first
at
announcement?
fiscaltherapies.com.
I talked right over that. Say it one more
Oh,
time, and
Martha at fiscaltherapies.com.
I love it. Is this the first announcement that you've made? Is this like the
Yeah,
debut?
kind of
Oh
is.
my
Yeah.
God.
Website
Everybody,
isn't quite published yet, but it's should be coming out in a month.
it's okay. We see you're real. We don't need the website. We already tell. Well, Martha, thank you for all that. And that's gonna be a wrap for today's episode. A huge thanks to you, Martha, for breaking down why cash flow doesn't have to be a constant headache. And if you want to connect with Martha again, check out just for now, because she has a new one coming, yassobooks.com, and start getting your money under control. And next month, we're going to be talking with Brittany Malador about handing over the reins without freaking out. So if the thought is letting someone else run your business makes you break into a cold sweat, you don't want to miss that one. And don't forget, with every one of my episodes, there's always a killer handout. Today's handout is in a different tab that I shrunk so I wouldn't be offset. It is the cash flow snapshot, know your numbers in 5 minutes. So there will be a handout there where you can kind of know what your numbers are. And remember, sometimes you have to scale down to scale up, and success isn't about working harder, it is about working smarter. We will see you next time.